In the dark between stars, something comes and then is gone. They arrive without sound, as if the sky itself were breathing. Between our world and the cold stars, something moves without leaving a ripple. We look up and feel not wonder, but the weight of being seen. Witnesses feel it first, the pressure behind the eyes. For generations we called into the dark. Answers came as vanishing blips. Operators confirm. Pilots report the lights. The room holds its breath. Then, nothing. The channel goes clean, the horizon indifferent. We were told the silence meant nothing, but the empty is crowded with intent. A veil, drawn and redrawn in a single breath. A curtain hiding watchers just beyond perception. They stalk the shadow line, always just outside our reach. This is a record of appearances and disappearances. Impossible forms over our cities, unannounced. Ships without sails, craft without wings. Maneuvers that fracture physics, recorded, then erased by absence. They arrive without warning and depart without a trace. What remains is a vacancy where certainty should be. This is not fiction. It is not imagination. It is sober testimony, logged and time-stamped. Pilots, military personnel, ordinary people, all caught in the presence of something that should not exist, something our world cannot account for. Their stories are puzzle pieces that refuse to stay on the table. A pattern emerges, an intelligence that prefers the dark. What did they truly see above our fragile world? We trust instruments, eyes, training, until the evidence points to the impossible, until a solid craft becomes a rumor in the next frame, until laws bend and data falls to zero. The mark left is internal, a worldview forced to include the uninvited, a seed of doubt that will not sleep. In quiet rooms, the question returns and sits beside you. Are we witnessing another civilization's reach, or something deeper? They arrive, they watch, they vanish, and they still haunt us today. This is not belief, it is pursuit, an investigation into a mystery that refuses to end. No sensational claims, no easy narratives. The truth, whatever it is too important for comfort. We walk a road paved with records and residue, testimony, doubt. We navigate a landscape of contradictions and corroborations. We listen to voices that cut out mid-sentence. We examine data that stutters, then goes dark. We trace silence, the missing minutes, the redacted lines, methodical, skeptical, peeling back one layer at a time. Each story, each scrap of evidence, is a thread in a torn tapestry. We follow the phrase to their abrupt ends, declassified pages with yawning black bars, radar tracks that end mid-sweep. Movements no known craft should make, then nothing. We seek out experts who accept uncertainty as a tool, who risk reputation to say, "We don't know." Because there is a cost to the witnesses and to the truth. Confusion, fear, isolation that lingers long after the lights are gone. Lives bent around unanswered questions, burdens carried in quiet rooms and long nights. A knowledge, the world is not as it seems. We will treat this with the gravity it demands. We will give voice to bewilderment without exploiting it, and note the courage it takes to speak at all, against disbelief, against official denial. Come with us into the archives and after images. We will move slowly, carefully. We will let the mystery breathe. We will listen to the silence between the words. There will be no tidy endings, only the hum of something unresolved. We will go to the edge of the known and stand in the twilight of what used to be there. The investigation begins now, at the sites where signals stopped and frames went missing, at the thresholds where ships were and are no longer. It begins with the people we trust the most. Commercial airline pilots, military aviators. They are trained observers. Their lives, and the lives of their passengers, depend on accurate identification. They are not prone to fantasy or hysteria. Their reports are precise, technical, delivered with a calm professionalism that makes them all the more chilling. For decades, these professionals have reported objects that defy aerodynamics and propulsion. Objects that perform maneuvers no human-made craft could survive. They speak of lights, intense, brilliant lights appearing suddenly in the cockpit window, moving against the wind at impossible speeds. They describe solid, structured craft, perfect spheres, dark, silent triangles the size of football fields, not distant blips on radar, close-range encounters, intimate, terrifying, a feeling of being observed, intercepted by an intelligence, calm, deliberate, completely in control. A profound sense of vulnerability, multi-million-dollar jets near something far superior. Consider the case of Japan Airlines Flight 1628, 1986. Captain Kenju Terauchi, veteran pilot with over 10,000 hours, flying a Boeing 747 cargo plane over Alaska. He and his crew saw two small, brightly lit objects flying in formation. Then, a much larger, gigantic craft appeared. He described it as the size of two aircraft carriers. It shadowed their plane for nearly an hour, confirmed by civilian and military ground radar. Official investigation, a trick of the light, reflection of ice crystals. For the crew, the memory was real. It was solid. It was there. These professionals risk their careers filing reports. They face skepticism, ridicule, quiet dismissal from superiors. Many stay silent, burying the memory. They share stories years later, in hushed tones, away from official record. The reports that surface paint a consistent, disturbing picture. A hidden traffic in our skies. A presence operating with impunity. Technology generations, perhaps centuries, ahead. They are the first line of witnesses, the eyes of the sky. Their testimony cannot be easily ignored. One of the most recurring details in these witness accounts is the silence. These massive objects, some described as being hundreds of feet long, move through our atmosphere without making a sound. There is no roar of engines, no sonic boom, even when they accelerate to hypersonic speeds in an instant. There is only a profound, unnatural quiet, a silence that is itself a testament to the alien nature of the technology. Our own physics dictates that moving an object through the air, especially at high velocity, creates noise. It displaces air. It creates friction. The absence of this sound is a fundamental violation of what we know to be true. This silence is often paired with impossible kinematics. Witnesses from all walks of life, from police officers on a lonely highway to sailors on the deck of a naval vessel, describe the same thing. Objects that hover motionless for long periods, then accelerate to thousands of miles per hour in the blink of an eye. They perform instantaneous right-angle turns, maneuvers that would generate G-forces sufficient to crush any human pilot and tear apart any conventional aircraft. They move without any visible means of propulsion. No wings, no rotors, no exhaust. They simply glide through the air as if the laws of gravity and inertia do not apply to them. In 2004, multiple pilots from the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group encountered a series of these objects off the coast of California. Commander David Fravor, a decorated FA-18 Super Hornet pilot, described one of them as a white, tic-tac-shaped object about 40 feet long. It moved erratically, hovering over a disturbance on the ocean's surface before mirroring the movements of his own fighter jet. When he attempted to merge with it, the object accelerated away at a speed he could only describe as like a bullet. It vanished in less than a second. It was tracked on the advanced SPY-1 radar of a nearby warship, descending from 80,000 feet to sea level in a matter of seconds. This combination of silence and speed creates a deeply unsettling experience for those who witness it. It feels less like observing a machine and more like witnessing a phenomenon. Something that is not so much flying through our reality as it is manipulating it. The object's ability to appear and disappear, to move without effort or sound, suggests a mastery of physics that borders on the magical. It is this quality that leaves witnesses so shaken. They have not just seen an unidentified aircraft, they have come face to face with a technology that fundamentally breaks their understanding of the world. Section 3. The human element. Beyond the technical details of speed and maneuverability lies the human core of these encounters, the emotional and psychological aftermath for the witnesses. These are not fleeting moments of confusion. They are life-altering events that leave a permanent mark on the psyche. People who once felt secure in their understanding of the world are suddenly cast adrift in a sea of uncertainty. The experience often begins with a sense of awe, wonder. The sheer beauty and strangeness of the object can be mesmerizing. A silent, glowing craft hanging in the night sky is a sight of profound, almost religious significance. But this awe is quickly replaced by something else, a deep and primal fear. The realization that you are in the presence of a vastly superior intelligence, one whose motives are completely unknown. This is not the fear of a physical threat, but a more existential dread, the feeling of being small and powerless. Witnesses often report a sense of being scanned or communicated with, not through words, but through a direct transfer of thought or feeling. A sense of being studied by an intelligence that is ancient, powerful, and utterly indifferent to human concerns. It is a deeply humbling and terrifying experience. The aftermath is often a period of intense isolation. Who do you tell? How do you explain what you saw without being labeled as crazy? Many witnesses suffer in silence, afraid of ridicule from their friends, family, and community. They replay the event over and over in their minds, questioning their own sanity. They scour the news for any other reports, searching for validation that they are not alone. This burden of secrecy can take a heavy toll, leading to anxiety, depression, and a persistent feeling of being an outsider in their own world. Their reality has been fractured, and they are left to pick up the pieces alone. For some, the experience becomes a lifelong obsession. They become amateur researchers, dedicating their lives to understanding what they saw. They connect with other witnesses, forming communities of shared experience. In these groups, they find a sense of belonging and purpose. They are no longer isolated individuals, but part of a larger, collective effort to bring the truth to light. Their testimony is not just a collection of data points, it is a human story. A story of courage, of confusion, and of the enduring search for answers in the face of a profound and unsettling mystery. Section 4. A pattern emerges. When we step back and look at the thousands of witness accounts gathered over more than 70 years, this is not simply a collection of random, disconnected events. The similarities in the descriptions reported by people from different cultures, from different decades, and with no knowledge of one another's accounts, are too striking to be a coincidence. The reports cluster around specific shapes, specific behaviors, and specific types of locations. It is the emergence of this pattern that transforms anecdotal evidence into a compelling body of data demanding serious investigation. The shapes are iconic. The classic flying saucer, a metallic or glowing disc. Then there are the silent black triangles, often seen moving slowly and at low altitudes over populated areas, their corners marked by soft, glowing lights. Spheres of light, both metallic and translucent, often seen moving in groups or interacting with one another in complex formations. These are not vague descriptions of lights in the sky. They are detailed reports of structured, physical craft with consistent and recurring designs. They show a persistent and intelligent curiosity towards our own technology, particularly our military and nuclear capabilities. And naval carrier groups. They pace our aircraft, they hover over our missile silos, and in some documented cases, they have reportedly interfered with the functionality of our nuclear weapons systems. This is not random tourism. It is a pattern of behavior that suggests a focused strategic intelligence. This global pattern is the most powerful aspect of the witness testimony. A farmer in rural France, a police officer in Illinois, and a fighter pilot over the Pacific Ocean all describe seeing the same impossible object, performing the same impossible maneuvers. Their stories, when woven together, form a tapestry of high strangeness that cannot be easily dismissed as misidentification or mass delusion. The pattern points to a genuine, recurring phenomenon. It tells us that something is here. Something is interacting with us. And it has been for a very long time. The witnesses have given us the first piece of the puzzle. Section 1. Footprints of the Impossible. Witness testimony is powerful. It is human, but it is also subjective. Our minds can play tricks on us. Our memories can fade and distort over time. For the skeptic, stories are never enough. They demand something more, something tangible, something that can be measured, analyzed, tested. They demand physical evidence. In the long, strange history of this phenomenon, there are cases where the visitors have left behind more than memories. They have left physical traces on the world itself, footprints of the impossible, etched into the very soil beneath our feet. These are not stories of alien bodies or crashed saucers. The evidence is subtle, yet profound. It often takes the form of ground markings, places where witnesses reported a craft landing or hovering at low altitude. Strange patterns are discovered. Circles of depressed soil, dehydrated soil, where nothing will grow for years. Tripod landing gear impressions, pressed deep into the earth. Soil inside markings found baked, as if exposed to intense microwave radiation, its molecular structure fundamentally altered. One of the best documented cases, Delphos, Kansas, 1971. 16-year-old Ronald Johnson witnessed a mushroom-shaped, brightly lit object hovering feet above ground. After it ascended and vanished, his family found a glowing ring on the ground. The soil inside was dry, crusty, and strangely slick to the touch. The ring faintly glowed for days. Lab analysis showed an unusual organic substance and a significant change in the soil's water solubility. These traces anchor the witness accounts. They tether the stories to physical reality. An event happened here, at this specific place. It left a mark to be seen, touched, and studied. Analyses rarely give a definitive alien signature, but reveal persistent anomalies. The evidence does not scream a conclusion. It whispers a persistent, unsettling question. What kind of technology, what kind of force, could leave such a lasting scar on the landscape? The footprints are real, but the entity that made them remains in the shadows. Section 2. Echoes on the screen. Human eyes can be deceived, but radar systems are designed for a single purpose: to detect and track objects in the sky with cold, electronic precision. They do not have imaginations. They do not feel fear or awe. They simply record data, speed, altitude, trajectory. And for decades, the most compelling evidence has come not from human witnesses, but from the silent, impartial echoes on a radar screen. These are the moments when our most advanced surveillance technology confirms objects that should not be there. The data is unambiguous. Military and civilian radar operators around the world have tracked objects executing maneuvers that defy belief. We see targets traveling at over 20,000 miles per hour within the atmosphere. We see them dropping from the edge of space to near sea level in less than a second. We see them making instantaneous 90-degree turns without slowing down. In the world of aviation, this is impossible. The G-forces would be catastrophic. The heat from air friction would be immense. Yet, the radar shows it happening, time and time again. The 1952 Washington, D.C. UFO incident is a classic example. Over 2 consecutive weekends, multiple unidentified targets were tracked by 3 facilities: Washington National Airport and 2 military Air Force bases. They swarmed the skies over the White House and the Capitol building. Air Force jets were scrambled to intercept. Their pilots reported seeing brilliant, fast-moving lights that corresponded to the targets on the ground radar. The objects would toy with the jets, surrounding them, and then accelerating away at incredible speeds the moment the pilots attempted to engage. The events made front-page news across the country, forcing a high-level government press conference that offered only vague and unsatisfying explanations. This radar evidence is the bedrock of the modern UAP investigation. It is what forced the Pentagon, after decades of denial, to finally admit that there are things in our skies that they cannot identify. The data from cases like the USS Nimitz and the USS Roosevelt is so clear, so well documented, from such sophisticated military systems that it cannot be dismissed. These are not weather balloons. These are not swamp gas. They are solid, controlled, technologically superior. The radar gives us their speed. The radar gives us their position. It paints a picture of their impossible movements, but it cannot tell us what they are or why they are here. It only provides the cold, hard, deeply unsettling data. Section 3. Fragments from nowhere. In a handful of rare and controversial cases, the physical evidence goes beyond mere traces. It involves actual material, small fragments of strange metal, reportedly ejected from or recovered at the site of a close encounter. These pieces are the holy grail for researchers. They represent the potential for a direct analysis of the technology itself. A chance to hold a piece of the impossible in your hand. The stories behind these fragments are often as strange as the materials themselves, involving mysterious sources, clandestine handoffs, and a long, difficult struggle to get them into the hands of credible scientists for analysis. One of the most famous examples is the material associated with the 1947 Roswell incident. While the official story has changed multiple times, shifting from a weather balloon to a top-secret surveillance device, a persistent counter-narrative has always existed. A narrative of a crashed extraterrestrial vehicle and the recovery of exotic debris. Witnesses described a material that was as thin as foil, could not be cut, could not be burned, could not be dented with a sledgehammer. A metal that, when crumpled, would unfold itself, returning to its original shape without any creases. A memory metal, decades before such a concept was known to mainstream science. More recently, a series of metallic fragments provided to investigative journalist Linda Moulton Howe and later to the late Art Bell of the radio program Coast to Coast AM have undergone extensive scientific scrutiny. Analysis at multiple laboratories has revealed bizarre isotopic ratios and layered microstructures that are unlike any known earthly alloy. Materials like bismuth and magnesium are layered together in micron-thick patterns, a structure that would be incredibly difficult and expensive to manufacture even today, let alone decades ago when some of the pieces were reportedly found. Scientists have stated that they do not know of any conventional process that would produce such a material. This metamaterial evidence is tantalizing, but also deeply problematic. Its chain of custody is often broken. The stories of its origin are impossible to verify, and the samples are so small that they resist definitive analysis, yet they persist as a powerful and troubling data point. They suggest that we are not just dealing with fields of energy or tricks of the light. They hint at the possibility of solid, manufactured objects, built from materials engineered with a knowledge of physics and chemistry far beyond our own. The fragments are a mystery you can hold, a piece of a puzzle from a place we cannot identify, a fragment from nowhere. Section 4. The Unseen Forces. Perhaps the most enigmatic form of physical evidence is that which cannot be seen or collected at all. It is the effect these objects have on their immediate environment, the physical forces they project. Witnesses consistently report a range of effects that suggest these craft are surrounded by an intense energy field. This is not just a passive byproduct, it appears to be an integral part of their technology, a way of manipulating the very fabric of space-time. It is in the study of these forces that we come closest to understanding the true alien nature of their physics. One of the most common reported effects is electromagnetic interference, car engine stalling. radios filling with static, compasses spinning wildly. Even advanced fighter jet electronics have been known to malfunction or shut down completely in the presence of these objects. In the 1976 Tehran incident, two Iranian Air Force F-4 Phantom jets attempted to intercept a large, brilliant object. As the first jet approached, its instrumentation and communications failed. The second jet, after locking weapons, experienced the same failure. The object seemed to have a defensive field that could disable military hardware at will. Beyond electromagnetic effects, there are reports of physiological impacts on witnesses. Strange tingling sensations, a sudden feeling of heat, even on cold nights, temporary paralysis, unable to move as the object hovers nearby. More extreme cases, burns consistent with microwave or ultraviolet exposure, UFO radiation sickness. 1980. Betty Cash and Vicki Landrum encountered a diamond-shaped craft. The craft blasted flames downward. They suffered severe radiation-like injuries and later filed a lawsuit against the US government. These unseen forces are a critical piece of the puzzle. They show these objects are not inert pieces of metal. They are active systems manipulating their environment in powerful ways. Silence and lack of heat signature suggest a propulsion that doesn't push against air, but may create a localized bubble of warped space-time. A technology that seems to control gravity and inertia itself. This is not just an advanced aircraft. It is a machine operating on physics we are only beginning to dream about. The evidence lies in what we can't see, the invisible forces in their wake. When faced with a mystery of this magnitude, we naturally turn to our institutions for answers. Our governments, with their vast resources, intelligence agencies, and scientific bodies, are surely the ones to investigate these phenomena. They are the guardians of our national security, the protectors of our airspace. Yet when it comes to the topic of unidentified aerial phenomena, the overwhelming response for over 70 years has been a profound and deafening silence. An official policy of denial and dismissal that has done more to fuel suspicion than to quell it. This silence is not passive. It is an active, carefully constructed wall. This wall was erected in the years following World War II, as sightings by military pilots and the public began to increase dramatically. Initially, there was a period of genuine, albeit classified, concern. Internal memos from the highest levels of the US government, now declassified, show that military leaders were deeply worried. They took the reports seriously, considering the possibility of advanced Soviet technology or something else entirely. But this internal concern was quickly hidden from public view. Outwardly, the official position became one of categorical denial. The subject was deemed a non-issue, a product of misidentification and public hysteria. The strategy was simple but effective: ridicule and explain away. Every report was met with a mundane explanation, no matter how strained. A weather balloon, a temperature inversion, the planet Venus, swamp gas. These explanations were offered with an air of authority that discouraged further questions. The media, taking its cue from the government, began to treat the subject as tabloid fodder. Witnesses were portrayed as unreliable or foolish. The topic became a career killer for serious academics, journalists, and military personnel. To speak of it was to invite ridicule and damage your reputation. The official silence became a self-enforcing taboo. This policy of secrecy and denial has had a corrosive effect on public trust. If there is truly nothing to these reports, why the intense secrecy? Why the classified projects and the heavily redacted documents? Why the intimidation of witnesses and the dismissal of credible data? The government's response has created a vacuum, and into that vacuum has rushed a torrent of speculation, conspiracy theory, and deep-seated mistrust. The official silence does not solve the mystery. It becomes a part of the mystery itself. It suggests that there is something to hide, something so profound, so paradigm-shifting, that the public is deemed not ready to know. To maintain the wall of silence, the government needed a public-facing mechanism, an official body that looked like a serious investigation. But that body ensured the predetermined conclusion: nothing to see here. For the United States Air Force, that body was Project Blue Book, running from 1952 to 1969. It was the third in a series of official studies into the phenomenon. Its stated mission was to determine if UFOs were a threat to national security, and to scientifically analyze the data. Its unstated and arguably more important mission was public relations. Project Blue Book investigated over 12,000 sightings. On paper, it looked thorough. In practice, its methods showed a clear bias. The project was understaffed, it was underfunded. Investigators were often pressured to find conventional explanations. The scientific consultant, Dr. J. Allen Hynek, an astronomer, initially went along. He later confessed his job was to be a hatchet man, to explain away reports and make the Air Force look good. He described the project's methodology as a complete farce. The playbook was always the same. If a case could be easily explained, it was held up as an example. If a case was more difficult, the explanation became strained. And if a case was truly inexplicable, backed by multiple witnesses and radar data, it was classified as insufficient information and buried. The goal was not to solve the mysterious cases, but to reduce the number of unknowns to a statistically insignificant percentage. It was an exercise in statistical manipulation, not scientific inquiry. Project Blue Book was officially terminated in 1969. The Condon Committee report concluded UFOs offered nothing of scientific value. The Air Force announced it would no longer investigate sightings. The case was officially closed. But for those who had seen the data from the inside, like Dr. Hynek, the conclusion was a lie. He would go on to become one of the world's leading civilian UFO researchers. He stated a small but significant percentage of cases were truly anomalous and worthy of serious study. Blue Book did not end the mystery. It simply drove it deeper underground, leaving behind a legacy of unanswered questions and official deception. Section 3. The Whistleblowers. Governments can classify documents, they can issue denials, but they cannot always control the consciences of the people who work within the system. Throughout the history of this secrecy, there have been brave individuals who have come forward to challenge the official narrative. They are the whistleblowers. Military officers, intelligence agents, corporate contractors who claim to have seen the truth from the inside. They risk their careers, their reputations, their freedom to share what they know. Their testimony, if true, shatters the official silence and points to a cover-up of unimaginable proportions. One of the most famous and controversial figures is Bob Lazar. In 1989, he came forward claiming to have worked as a physicist at a secret facility near Area 51, known as S4. He alleged his job was to reverse engineer propulsion systems of recovered extraterrestrial craft. He described 9 saucer-shaped vehicles powered by a stable isotope, element 115. His story was filled with incredible technical detail. Investigators verified past employment at Los Alamos National Laboratory, lending some credibility, though his educational records remain fiercely debated. Lazar's claims, once dismissed, have gained renewed interest, as many physics concepts he described enter mainstream research. More recently, high-ranking officials have spoken on the record. Lou Elizondo, a former counterintelligence officer, ran the Pentagon's UAP Investigation Unit, AATIP. He resigned in protest over excessive secrecy, then went public, confirming the U.S. government possesses clear and compelling evidence of anomalous craft that display capabilities far beyond known technology. He speaks of metamaterials recovered from UAP events and the 5 observables: instant acceleration and hypersonic speed without a signature. These whistleblowers force us to confront a disturbing possibility. The truth is not just being withheld, it is being actively managed through a compartmentalized program of crash retrievals and reverse engineering efforts. A program that operates outside legal oversight and public accountability. Their testimony suggests decades-long possession of physical, non-human technology by a small government group. The implications are staggering. The greatest discovery in human history may have already happened and has been kept secret from the world. A secret so big, it has its own gravity, bending laws and institutions around it. Section 4, a new era of transparency. For decades, the wall of silence seemed impenetrable. The subject was trapped in a loop of official denial and public ridicule. But in recent years, something has begun to shift. The wall has started to crumble. We are now living in a time of unprecedented, if reluctant, disclosure. This change was not driven by a sudden government desire for openness. It was forced by persistent journalism, pressure from high-ranking officials, and the undeniable evidence captured by our own advanced military sensors. The dam of secrecy is finally breaking. The turning point came in 2017, a bombshell report in the New York Times. It revealed the Pentagon's secret A-tip program, and it featured the now famous Tic Tac video from the USS Nimitz incident. For the first time, a mainstream credible news source presented the evidence with seriousness. The government was forced to confirm the videos were real, that the program was real, and that the objects were officially designated unidentified aerial phenomena. The word UFO was being legitimized, stripped of cultural baggage, replaced with a sterile, bureaucratic acronym, UAP. That initial crack led to a cascade of further revelations. The U.S. Congress began holding hearings and demanding answers. They passed legislation requiring the Director of National Intelligence to provide unclassified reports on UAPs. The first report, delivered in 2021, was a landmark. It offered few conclusions, but it officially acknowledged 144 incidents, reported by military aviators, that it could not explain. The report stated the objects were real, physical, and posed a potential threat to flight safety, even national security. We are now in a new and uncertain phase, a period of managed transparency. The government admits there is a mystery but provides few answers. They release grainy videos, but withhold high-resolution data. They acknowledge reports, but classify the details. Is this the beginning of a genuine effort to inform the public, or a more sophisticated form of information control? A way to slowly acclimate the population to a new reality without panic or destabilization? The silence has been broken. But the official narrative is still being carefully written. The greatest mystery now is not whether these objects are real, but what our governments truly know about them. Section 1. The Human Heart of the Mystery. We began our journey in the silent darkness of the night sky, a canvas for our greatest hopes and deepest fears. We have walked through the testimony of credible witnesses. We touched the edges of physical evidence. We navigated the labyrinth of government secrecy. After examining the pilots, the radar returns, the metallic fragments, and the official denials, we are left not with a simple answer, but with a more profound sense of the mystery itself. The question of what these objects are is now inextricably linked with who we are and what this enduring enigma says about our place in the cosmos. The spaceships that shouldn't exist have become a mirror, reflecting our limitations and our infinite capacity for wonder. At its core, this is a deeply human story. It is about the tension between the known and the unknown, between the comforting certainty of our scientific models and the disruptive power of an anomaly that refuses to be explained away. The phenomenon persists not just because of strange lights or blurry videos, but because it touches something fundamental within us. The desire to know what lies beyond the horizon, the hope, and perhaps the terror that we are not alone. These encounters force us to confront the possibility that human history, human culture, and human knowledge might be just one small, fleeting chapter in a much larger, older, stranger cosmic story. It is a humbling and transformative thought. The emotional weight of these stories cannot be overstated. For every data point, for every radar track, there is a human being whose life has been irrevocably changed. A pilot who can no longer look at the sky the same way. A family who carries the memory of a strange light that visited their home. A researcher who has sacrificed their reputation in the pursuit of a truth society was not ready to hear. Their experiences form the emotional heart of this mystery. They remind us this is not an abstract intellectual puzzle. It is a living, breathing phenomenon that intersects with real lives, leaving behind confusion, awe, and a quiet, persistent search for meaning. Ultimately, the mystery of these silent visitors forces us to look inward. It challenges our assumptions about reality, our perception of our own technological prowess, and our species' sense of importance. Are we standing on the brink of a new understanding of the universe, one that requires rewriting our science and philosophy? Or are we projecting our modern myths onto the ancient canvas of the sky? The evidence suggests something real and tangible is occurring. The truth remains just out of reach, shrouded in shadows and secrecy, compelling us to keep asking the questions, no matter how uncomfortable the answers may be. Section 2. A universe of wonder and caution. As we draw this investigation to a close, we find ourselves on the precipice of a new frontier. The era of automatic denial and ridicule is fading, replaced by a tentative and official acknowledgement that a profound mystery is unfolding in our skies. This new era demands a new approach, one that balances open-minded curiosity with rigorous scientific skepticism. We must move beyond the polarized debate of believer versus debunker and embrace the more honest and productive position of the true investigator, one who is willing to follow the evidence wherever it leads, without fear or favor, and to accept the ambiguity of the unknown. The path forward requires both caution and wonder. Caution, because we are dealing with a phenomenon that appears to involve a technology far in advance of our own. The intelligence behind these objects is an unknown quantity, and its intentions are a complete mystery. We must resist the urge to project our own hopes or fears onto it. Rushing to conclusions, either welcoming or hostile, would be a grave mistake. The moment demands a calm, measured, and deeply thoughtful approach from our scientific institutions and our political institutions. At the same time, we must not lose our sense of wonder. The possibility that we are not alone, that we may be witnessing the products of another intelligence, is perhaps the most profound and exciting prospect in all of human history. It opens up a universe of possibilities. It invites us to dream bigger, to ask deeper questions, and to see our own world from a new, cosmic perspective. This sense of wonder is the engine of all scientific discovery. It is what drives us to explore, to learn, and to grow. The mystery of the UAP is a gift, a cosmic question mark that can inspire a new generation of scientists, thinkers, and explorers. And so we are left here, in the twilight. The evidence is compelling but not conclusive. The witness testimony is powerful but subjective. The government is speaking, but its words are carefully chosen. The spaceships that shouldn't exist continue to haunt our skies, silent and enigmatic. They are a persistent, humbling reminder that there are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in our philosophy. The journey does not end here, it is only the beginning. The silence has been broken. Now, we must learn how to listen.